Welcome back. Now, President Bola Tinubu has made another set of appointments as he officially resumes office. They include Femi Gbajabiamila, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who has now been appointed as the Chief of Staff, and, of course, Senator Ibrahim Hadejia, a former Deputy Governor of Jigawa State, who is now the Deputy Chief of Staff. The President also appointed the former Benue State Governor, Senator George Akume, as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. According to a statement issued by the Director of Information at State House, Abiodun Oladunjoye, the President announced the appointment during the meeting he held with Progressives Governors Forum at the Council Chamber, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Now, the appointment of Gbajabiamila, Akume, and Hadejia comes 24 hours after President Tinubu met with security chiefs led by the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The President, while charging military officers and men to redouble their efforts, also mandated all security agencies to quickly come up with a master plan towards eradicating security challenges facing the country. President Tinubu has also mandated security agencies to come up with a blueprint to this effect. Let's discuss all of this now. I'm being joined on the program from Abuja by Jide Ojo, who is a political affairs analyst, and then I also have Theo Akatuba, who is also a political affairs analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let's start with the appointments now. This fresh appointments, Jide, what do you make of it?
Thank you, DEJI. I think it's even late in the day. Some of us thought, as the President said he was going to hit the ground running, that the appointment will have been made in the evening of inauguration, which was last Monday.
So this is not hitting the ground running?
This is not hitting the ground running. As we speak, he has not even appointed his media handlers, therefore allowing rumor mills to start making those appointments for him. So what I feel is, I appreciate the fact that he made those appointments after due consultation, because APC Progressive Governors Forum are a very powerful bloc in the administration of this country. Don't forget, APC has majority of the governors, maybe 21 or thereabout after the general elections. So these are people you cannot ignore, given the fact that they played very critical role in giving the victory to the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So maybe that's what he was waiting for. And what I see is that it was a trade-off of some sort. Maybe he held on to Gbajabiamila as his minion, whom he has groomed over the decades, and allow the Governors Forum to appoint the Deputy Chief of Staff, Deputy Secretary to the Deputy Chief of Staff,
Deputy Chief of Staff, yes.
Deputy Chief of Staff, as well as the Secretary to the Federal Government. So, but when you look at the caliber of people he appointed, they are actually eminent Nigerians. George Akume, Governor of Benue State from 1999 to 2007, had been a senator, had been a minister of Minister of Special Duties in the last Buhari administration. So you can't get them better than that. He has both administrative, he has both executive and legislative experience. And it will seem like Asiwaju wants to give preference to people with that kind of virtues, those who have both executive and legislative experience. Because when you look at the choice of Kashim, his running mate, if you look at that, he decided to pick from the Senate somebody who was a former governor. So you now have an Akume who was a former governor, former senator, former minister in the last administration. So you can't get them better than that.
All right.
And for Gbajabiamila, he has to forfeit his slot at the House of Reps, given the fact that he won to the House of Reps. So that's another call to service by Tinubu.
Okay, let me come to you, Theo. Let's look at the position of George Akume especially. I mean, given what we have seen, especially in the race or the election now for the leadership of the National Assembly. All this while, there had been complaint that the North Central was not properly represented. When you look at the individuals now that the party has backed for the leadership of the National Assembly. So can we say, George Akume's appointment would appear to satisfy the yearnings of the North Central? At least they now have a representation at the very highest level of government.
Yes, I will agree with you quickly, because if you look at the role he played in the last election and what happened in Benue State, you must credit that to his partnership with that reverend, taking Autumn out of office and giving victory to the president in Benue State. And just as you have said, the government, Tinubu made mention of a government that reward its people, reward those who work hard. And so I see that as the beginning of the reward for George Akume and, of course, those in the North Central. So it is my hope that this will placate them, and this will make them to see and feel a sense of belonging. And also that Tinubu will have a very close top official and a top leading member from that part closely with him in trying to tackle the problems of Benue as regards the perennial battles between herdsmen and farmers and all the insecurity issues in that area. And so it's a very good pick, in my opinion, and it's also a good way to reach out to the people of the Benue and the North Central.
And what do you make of that of Femi Gbajabiamila? Not a surprise, is it?
That was expected already. Right from time, you can see the mannerism, the body language. Fashola looked like the one that was, but you remember that Fashola looked tired at the moment, working so hard, and it appears that Fashola wants some break. Fashola was the one that everyone thought, but on a closer look, I knew that Gbajabiamila was the. And don't forget, Gbajabiamila seems to have a certain historical experience with Tinubu because of their international exposure. Tinubu intends to run the country with a rich background of the knowledge of the international system, the student loans, the credit facility, extended consumer credit, and all the other reforms that intend to take, including through federalism and some critical restructuring. I think that Gbajabiamila, being the chief of staff, will do a lot of work in trying to ensure that the government is running and moving fast. Being a younger person, astute and also a legal mind, and then with a good experience of the legislature. A lot of bills, a lot of initiatives take place. So I think it's a fantastic pick, and it's a good one for his government.
Let's still stay on Gbajabiamila. Jide, how important is the position of the chief of staff, and how important is it for the president to appoint someone with a very solid legislative experience, who has been in the legislature for several years, and how handy could he come when, for instance, the presidency, because, I mean, you just can't rule that out, when the presidency, for instance, gets into conflict with the National Assembly?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why Asiwaju went for Gbajabiamila. Gbajabiamila is the outgoing Speaker of House of Representatives. He's been there 5 previous times, which is total of 20 years. If he were to be inaugurated on June 13, that would have been his sixth membership of House of Reps. So Asiwaju wants somebody who understands the workings of the National Assembly, who could help him reach out to the National Assembly members when there is a need for that. So he's also a legal mind, like my brother said. He's a lawyer of international repute. So chief of staff position is very It's like the life wire of the presidency, in the sense that he works directly with the president, whereas the secretary to the federal government has a wider mandate. He works to administer the ministries, departments, and agencies, make suggestions on appointment and all of that. But in terms of working the schedule of the president, who is to see, who is not to see him, and all of that. But I must warn, DG, I must warn that we don't want another Abba Kyari in that position. We have seen it before Professor Gambari was appointed in the second term of Buhari. We saw a chief of staff that was even more powerful than the secretary to the federal government. So much so that every member of the cabinet dreads him, and he has his hand in several pies. So I hope Gbajabiamila will not misplace the trust.
You think you can have that kind of situation with this president?
That's why I'm saying I hope not. I hope not that he will abuse his position. He will become power drunk. He will start running rings around the president. That will be a letdown. That will be a disappointment, because there are people, when they get to a position of authority, it gets into their head. I can tell you for free, even this position of chief of staff is much higher in terms of power than that of Speaker of House of Reps. But he combines the experience as a member of Reps in the outgoing House of Representatives, National Assembly. He also is a lawyer, and he will be the one to schedule meetings, to plan the activities of the president, and do several other things. Quite unfortunately, this position is not backed by the Constitution. So it's just for administrative convenience of sort. But
no question, as you have mentioned, is a very powerful position. I'm going to come back to you. Theo, going forward, there's no question at all that balancing is what a lot of people...
I want to add something quickly.
Oh, okay, quickly.
Yes, if you look at it, the president is also at the moment putting together his cabinet, the ministers, and so Gbajabiamila and Akume, with all they have, their experience in the politics and their vast knowledge of the various men and women in the game. I think that when he said that the appointments are coming late, I disagreed a little bit, because this is the same party that is transiting. It's not actually another party. And so Tinubu is not actually in such a big hurry to just change the key men. They need to transit smoothly, and they need to do the briefing quite mutual. And that's why you see that it's not changing. But these three men, this appointment he has just made, they are signal to the fact that he will need them to put together his ministerial needs and all the other very critical appointments.
And very quickly now, George Akume, of course, a minister in the immediate past cabinet, and now he's come back as secretary to the government of the federation. Do you think we're likely to see more ministers come to join this cabinet? I mean, the cabinet that
what I can
the president
assure you
is going to set up.
You have this is the first time we are having a thoroughbred politician who has seen the best and depth of many governments. He's seen the area of weakness. He has observed so many things from outside. He appeared to be one of the most prepared leaders Nigeria have had in recent times. And to that extent, I believe that for him to move Akume to that position, it signals massive reform that will take place in that sector. And you need the presidential knowledge and the knowledge of the civil service. I think, I believe, from history, George Akume did well and performed well while he was an executive governor. So someone who has held an executive position now coming in to be secretary to the federation. In fact, I believe that I look forward to some dynamic government.
Now, balancing is a very big issue. I mean, you know the kind of controversy it created with the previous government, and there's no question at all that many Nigerians will be looking at the area of balancing now in all of these appointments. So how crucial do you think that is as the president goes on to appoint not just members of his cabinet, but also his kitchen cabinet as well?
Yes, I think like I said, I told you that these are issues that a politician, look at Lagos State, look at how Tinubu ran Lagos. He did not just do balancing within Lagos. He expanded his balancing to the southwest and even put his hand into other ethnic groups that are showing numbers in the state. Today you have, so there has never been an issue of balancing with Tinubu's kind of governance, even at the structure of his political structure. He had always, taken note of this issue. He's never been accused of imbalance in forming anything he has formed. So I have no doubt that from the way he played the politics, the campaign, the men and women that he worked with, I am sure that balancing is at the top of his consideration. And I hope he will not fall victim to too much pressure to miss on balance.
And Jide, what's your take on that?
I just hope that there will be no unhealthy rivalry between the Chief of Staff and the Secretary to the Federal Government. That usually is what retards progress in the presidency. When there is tough war, one feels I'm superior to you, I'm closer to the president than you are, and sidelining and all of that. Recall, during Abba Kyari, even the ministers could not see the president. I mean, a case in point was Ibe Kachukwu. Ibe Kachukwu, as Minister of State for Petroleum, in an open letter said for 6 months he wanted to see President Buhari, but was denied by the Chief of Staff. So he then tells, and you recall the face-off between head of service, is there Yoita, or what's this woman's name from Cross River?
Yeah.
The face-off they had at the FEC meeting, and the next thing, the woman was removed. So I hope some people within the presidency will not become power drunk and start abusing their office. But in terms of the choice, there are very good choices that he has made. He felt these are the people he could work with. He has also made the appointments in consultation with the Progressive Governors Forum, which means it was not a sole administratorship of a kind. They actually were a product of consultation. I just hope that the APC leadership will not be left out in formation of cabinet because if you recall, ahead of the election, there was a time Abdullah Adamu said the party was not being carried along. A very good case in point was the appointment of Presidential Campaign Committee, where after the initial announcement, the party dissociated itself and said that the party leadership was not carried along. So I think Ashwaju will need to walk that thin line of consultation with the party leadership, with the Progressive Governors Forum, and then his own preferences. I know for certain we run a Pogbara politics in Nigeria. Almost all the governors who lost out, either in the second term or those who lost their senatorial ambition, will find a way of rehabilitation, particularly if they worked for the victory of the party in their states. Recall that the governor of Kebbi State lost his presidential ambition, his senatorial ambition, but he won the state for APC. So someone like that will definitely be compensated. Someone like Ben Ayade may also be on the list. And not long, who was the DJ of his campaign, We do not know what position these people
we just hope we don't end up with a cabinet full of ex-governors anyway.
It's about competence.
One thing about ministerial appointment.
Yeah.
It's not so much about the knowledge of the job, but about the capacity to manage men, women, and resource. At that level, it comes someone who has been an executive governor, makes the work easy because he runs the ministry as if is running a state. Running his own budget and running his own men and women. So it's smoothing and makes things. If you look at the Buhari administration, Buhari's government mostly survived because of the knowledge of some of the quality of ministers he had. The ministers who were former governors appeared to perform better and handled pressure and crisis better than the other ministers who were never governors. For example, the Minister of Education. I don't know if he was a former governor. I've not really studied his background, but he confessed I didn't know anything about education. But during the crisis of the strike, he didn't really manage his temperament very well during that period. So I think Tinubu will choose men who indeed can carry forward his vision and who can, run the government in the manner and style that he envisioned to bring his kind of government to the very last man in Nigeria. I believe so.
All right. I want us to take a quick break now, but we're going to come back. When we come back, I want us to talk about the issue of subsidy. It's something we just can't run away from. The NLC, that's the Nigerian Labour Congress now, has given the government, as you're aware, till next Wednesday now to revert back to the old prices, or else they'll proceed on a nationwide strike. So that's what we'll be talking about next. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On DEJI360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
DEJI360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, you're watching DEJI360, and I still have Jide Ojo, who joins us from Abuja, and Theo Akatuba, who joins us from Lagos. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Now, let's talk about the threat by the Nigeria Labour Congress. It's something we all expected anyway when that pronouncement was made by the president during his inauguration, and the next day we saw the chaos on the streets of Nigeria, and the price of petrol certainly has gone up. We expected the NLC was going to issue this threat. It has always done so in the past, so nothing different this time. But what do you make of it this time, given the situation that the country is dealing with in terms of revenue?
Well,
let me start with Jide.
Okay, for me, I think NLC should just be realistic. And I wasn't taken aback by the threat of strike, but they should know that they are partly the reason why we are in this cul-de-sac. Why did I say so? Did you cast your mind to 2007? Obasanjo sold Port Harcourt and Kaduna Refinery to Blue Star Consortium, led by Aliko Dangote, with Femi Otedola and the rest of them. It was NLC that kicked against that sale and said the government of Yar'Adua must reverse that. Of course, Yar'Adua caved in and reversed. which is what angered Dangote and made him to start planning to build his own refinery. Now, from 2007 to date, that's how many years, DEJI? We are talking of almost over 15 years or thereabout. Where are we? Which of the refineries have been revamped? Which of them is working? We have spent over $25 billion on turnaround maintenance. None of these three refineries is working. So if NLC is saying until Port Harcourt and Warri and Kaduna refineries becomes functional, where does NLC want government to get the money to pay the subsidy? Because if by now the 3.36 trillion that was spent for subsidy in the first 5 months of 2023 has been exhausted, it then means that if we are to extend this subsidy payment regime, two things will have to happen. One, the president will have to sponsor an executive bill to alter the Petroleum Industry Act, number one. Number two is also to source for another maybe 4 trillion or thereabout to be able to offset subsidy till maybe December. Because according to Mele Kyari, they are expecting the Port Harcourt refinery to come on stream by the end of 2023. And I don't understand the economics of spending 7-8 trillion subsidizing one product, which is petrol. And this subsidy claim is almost at par with our capital expenditure framework.
Yes.
So does it make economic sense? Everybody has adjusted their sets as of today. I went out on my way back, I bought fuel, 10,000 naira. It won't fill my tank, but I have to make do. Everybody has adjusted. So if NLC is back to his own game of, subsidy, the refineries must start working before you, I tell you for free, even if the refineries start working, after all, Dangote said his own refinery will start working by August. That's at the very latest. Do you know that Dangote will be selling a dollar equivalent to Nigerians?
Of course.
So it's not going to be any cheaper.
Because in any case, he's going to be buying the crude from Nigeria, not exactly. a dollar equivalent. You're right.
Particularly a dollar equivalent. So whatever they want to do to offset whatever palliative. After all, Buhari has gone to collect $800 million from World Bank. If they want to hurriedly distribute that $800 million to the poorest of the poor, whichever fraudulent way they want to do that. And I do not support this idea of buying mass transit vehicles for NLC. It has never worked. After 6 months, many of the vehicles will be off the road.
You're very correct.
I've seen that before.
We've seen it.
I believe it's better we allow the subsidy removal to stay, look for money and start building our infrastructure rather than continue to feed the fat cat.
Okay, let me get your take, Theo. Let me get your take because I know we're running out of time.
My take is that the NLC is living in the past. They know the laws of the land. There's no provision for subsidy. They were there when the Petroleum Industry Act was passed. That also showed that the subsidy is going. When eventually budget of 2023 was passed, they knew that the provision was for half a year, something that should have left in 2022. First of all, like Jide just mentioned, is it not something very, very shocking to see and notice how stupid a nation like Nigeria has carried on? You wasted your resources, wasted your hard-earned resource that you will need to develop your country. The money is frittered away in running cars and petroleum, subsidizing petroleum for sensational lifestyle. I'm quite sorry that our country messed up so badly. And now we are trying to recover from that wrong travel. And the NLC is trying to threaten strike. I'm happy that Tinubu said he will protest from here till tomorrow. The NLC will be on strike for as long as they would like to be on strike. And it will be solved. The government is quite energetic. The government is ready. The government is taking this decision at the very onset of his government, of his rule. I can assure you there will be political solutions, there will be legal solutions to an NLC or an unreasonable strike. I believe the NLC should stop living in the past. They've led this country astray for too long. Remember, if you look at the press statement they issued in 2007, when they forced Yar'Adua to reverse the sale of the refinery, they promised that at the end, in 12 months, the refineries would kick in and start working. 12 months. Since then till now, the NLC has not queried their members who work in this refinery. The NLC has always been against the progress of this country only because they think of the workers. They should invest their energy in negotiating for better pay, not the removal of the subsidy, except that they are in connivance with the very people who are using the subsidy to defraud this country.
Jide, just before we go, let me ask you this. We know the NLC owns the Labour Party, and the NLC president campaigned for the Labour Party during the elections. And, you know, the NLC has never been shy to identify with the Labour Party. In fact, they've said it, that they own the party. And we know the position of the Labour Party on the issue of petrol subsidy. I mean, the Labour Party also campaigned on the issue of petrol subsidy, that it should be removed. So I'm just trying to understand why the NLC is choosing to take a different course now.
That's exactly the politics of the politics. Is the political, we have seen what the obedience movement and Labour Party has tried to railroad Nigerians to. They could not speak out after the inaugural address where Tinubu said subsidy is gone. Because people came out with clip of Peter Obi saying subsidy is an organized crime and that he will waste no time in removing it if he's elected into the office of the president. The same thing with Atiku Abubakar. The three frontline candidates never tried that they were going to remove. So why should they now say they want, and they should be wary? There is a National Industrial Court ruling, judgment, that no work, no pay. If you go on strike, don't expect to be paid. No matter how long you went on strike, you will not receive pay. If that is the approach they want to take, let them go. We have seen it before. People might end up stoning the NLC leadership because it will seem like they want to play politics again. Why can't we, for goodness sake, look at the bigger picture? How transparent has NLC and TUC been running their own administration? All the allegation of corruption against the past leaders of these bodies, where has it led us? So I don't want to go into the merit. These people are not fighting the cause of Nigeria. For me, the politics of threatening to go on strike, they can go on strike for what all they care. But I can tell you for free, by 2-3 days, many Nigerians will go back to their work, knowing full well that NLC is not going to put food on their table. What's the percentage of workers in organized private sector and public service? What's the percentage? Is it somebody who is doing micro, small, and medium enterprises, or even organized private sector? You fail to report to work because NLC said you people should go on strike. You are losing your job. There are so many millions of people who are ready to take over your position. So I think we need to call the bluff of NLC and TUC on this matter. I'm not against dialogue. They can dialogue, they can look for palliative, but to say subsidy should be returned for eternity again, after we got our fingers burnt in 2007, I don't think these people meant well for the development and progress of Nigeria.
All right. You want to add a final word, Theo?
Yes. The final word is just for the government and the country to continue to move forward. We must at this time identify. It is only in Nigeria that a party like Labour Party and the NLC that vigorously campaign to remove subsidy will oppose the removal of the same subsidy. and they will have the space to have cameramen come and cover their whatever they are going to say. We must know at the point where you blacklist people, they deserve national blacklist because their party and their candidate said it will waste no time. And now it happened that this president did not even do that. But because of the greed of marketers and people, government just rode into their own greed because announcement was made within 2 hours. Petrol stations were already filled with fuel. And they were already selling at abnormal price. Instead of allowing the confusion that President Buhari allowed for 6 months when we were dangling and debating, is the subsidy out? Should it be out? President Buhari said, retain the subsidy. No one was able to buy for less than 300 in many parts of the country. It was chaotic. So this government decided to step in straight and take advantage of that situation to just let it go and let it go 30 days before time. And so the NLC should beware not to lose credibility forever and ever.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Jide Ojo, Political Affairs Analyst, thank you very much for your time. And Theo Akatuba, Political Affairs Analyst as well. Thanks a lot for your time. Well, that's how much we can take on the program this week. But thank you very much for watching. See you again next week. Bye-bye.